my doctor calls me. Now, what doctor calls you on a Saturday morning? Hello.
Yeah.
And he says, Nancy, your white blood cell count is elevated. You need to go see a hematologist.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. And today we have a very special guest on our podcast, a new friend of mine, Nancie Steinberg. Nancie, would you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Nice to meet everybody. I work in healthcare communications, and I'm also a cancer patient advocate.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Cancer patient advocate. How did you get into that?
Yeah, sort of. I had an epiphany. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I live with CML, which is chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a blood cancer, well managed. I take an oral chemotherapy. Last year, I attended a very intimate conference in New York City where I live. A gentleman I know has CML, and I saw on LinkedIn he was talking about his personal experience with CML, and he has a weekly podcast, and he had this conference coming up, and I went to the conference. When I walked in, it's very much, I always have two hats: Nancy the healthcare PR media person, and then Nancy the survivor and patient. And I went in open mind, sat there, and as the conference progressed, people are getting up and introducing themselves, or the keynote speaker, for example, has AML, and she started talking about the work she's doing and how she works with Novartis on a campaign. And I sat there, and that was the epiphany. I said, Nancy, you could do this. You've worked with cancer patient advocates. A long time ago, Pfizer was my client, and we worked with breast cancer and lung cancer patients, and it was very rewarding and obviously helpful to the cancer patient community. And I thought, I could do this. So that's really how it started a year ago.
Yeah. So, walk me through this journey of when, you've gotten diagnosed with two different types of cancers. I'm always amazed when people take that and they want to turn that around into helping others. So obviously that didn't happen overnight. You probably had a lot to deal with on your own. So let's talk a little bit about your journey with, two different cancers. What was like the time difference? How, which came first? How was that for you?
Yes. So it was 26 years ago. Sadly, I was diagnosed 2 months after my mom, who I adored, still adore, died from metastatic breast cancer. I was diagnosed, she died October. I was diagnosed in December. They did a lumpectomy. The results showed there were no clear margins from the pathology. So I had to go back in January, which happened to be Y2K,
Oh my
2000.
gosh.
So that was 25. I'm sorry. I said, well, that was 25 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost, no, because January is turning 26.
26. Yeah.
Right. So it was almost
Yeah.
20 years ago. And I went back for a mastectomy. I had the reconstruction, plastic surgeon reconstruction of tran flap, which is where they take fat from your stomach, and it's microsurgery. They push it up to recreate your breast. Um,
Mm,
and it has a nice outcome cosmetically, I guess. So
mm,
yeah, and as I was sharing with you earlier, for me the hardest thing was losing my mom, my best friend, really, and my confidant. My We spoke every day, and that was the hardest experience for me. I missed her terribly. I was a young When I say young mom, I was mom to a young, my son was 2. That was the hardest part, but, knowing that I had to look after him and be strong, I just sorta persevered. I never stopped working all through my chemo. I went
yeah.
whatever the regimen was, every 2 weeks. Occasionally, I would fall ill from the chemo, uh, but I persevered, and then from then, I was on tamoxifen for 5 years and very much wanted another child, and I always talked to my breast surgeon and my breast oncologist, "I want another kid. Should I stop tamoxifen? What should I do? What should I do?" Long story short, I persevered. I finished the treatment, and you have to be off of it for a little bit before you can try and conceive. I did. I went back to the fertility doctor who helped me my first go around, because I also have a a hormone imbalance. And I always say, they're called reproductive endocrinologists. I always say he got me pregnant, not my husband, but he got me pregnant. He put me on the same medicine,
Yeah.
prednisone, and I conceived right away. And so
Wow.
I have two children. My oldest is Austin, who he'll be 28 in January, and Alistair just turned 19 in October. And I kind of consider him my miracle baby because
Yeah.
that was my wish, my dream come true. So
Yeah.
when you ask, how did I keep going? That was,
The driving force.
the driving force. And then
Yeah.
um fast
So let's back up a little bit because you're what, 37 around that age, and
I was 37 when
yeah, and you've just lost your mom, you're dealing with the grief of that, and now you find this yourself in this diagnosis of breast cancer. Like, what are you feeling at this point? Like, are you just going through the motions? Are you have you taken time to grieve? Like, what's going on?
I really didn't take any time off to grieve.
Mm,
I went back to work. I mean, for me, it worked. That,
yeah.
I resumed normal activities. I think I just had my head down. I knew what I had to do. I had to do the chemotherapy. I had to do the tamoxifen, and I just had to pray that it would all work.
Work. Yeah. You
That
just
it
went into like go mode, right? Go, go, go.
right,
Like, what's
right,
next? And I
exactly.
think that's a coping skill in itself, right? Because sometimes it's easier to just do and get busy in your thing, in your routine than to have to deal with what's going on. So you start the chemo, you don't like do you have a diagnosis of, okay, you do the chemo and then you'll be free of this? Or is there like
Well,
a
that's the hope, but you are
yeah,
watched, you're monitored regularly for exams. And in my case, I was doing always, which I really encourage all women. I had a mammogram and a sonogram. In my breast cancer, even though I felt the lump initially, it wasn't shown on the mammogram, but it was shown on the sonogram. And then
okay.
subsequently, I was prescribed MRIs, annual breast MRIs. Oh, by the way, one thing I did want to say, you said, how did I cope? I did go back to my therapist, my
Mm,
shrink, when my mom I had seen her for a long time, and then not even sure why I took a break. When my mom passed away, I went back to her, and then it coincided soon after with my diagnosis.
yeah. And then would you say therapy helped you through both of those?
Yeah, I appreciated having, a an outside opinion in term not medical, but in terms of
Yeah.
my emotions and an unbiased perspective. And not for nothing, it's kind of nice to have someone that says, "You're right. You're absolutely right." Everything I said was, well, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I make her sound like a fool, but no, I mean,
No, but they're
you know,
listening. They're someone to hear
yeah,
you, someone to make you feel seen and heard and
exactly,
valued.
and
Yeah.
understood, right,
Yeah, yeah, that's a big piece of it, right? I think in general in the life, if we had someone like that, each of us would be so much happier and at so much more
right.
peace. And then tell me a little bit about, like, you sound right now of, or let's go into the next diagnosis that you got, because there's a second one, right? You
Right.
just seem to have, yeah, opened up the doors to these.
Yeah. What do they say? God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess, yeah. Well, we need to tell God, I think you're done handling.
Right, right, exactly. Enough
Yeah.
already, enough.
Yeah. Enough. We're done. We're closing the
I
door.
got the message. I got the message. Um, 14 years ago, I went to my internist, regular checkup, did blood work, which is usually what geared to your cholesterol. On a
Yeah.
Saturday morning, I'm on the soccer field with my son and husband and or both sons, I guess. And my doctor calls me. Now, what doctor calls you on a Saturday morning? Hello.
Yeah.
And he says, Nancy, your white blood cell count is elevated. You need to go see a hematologist. And that's how I found out. Monday morning, I called my breast oncologist, who I still see 26 years later. I have followed him all over New York to Long Island. Now he's in New Jersey. But anyway, you know, help. Who should I be seeing? And he referred me to Mount Sinai again, where I had initially been treated for breast cancer, and referred me to a young physician who was a specialist in these blood cancers. And in short order, within a matter of days, we went to his office. I was scared. I was very, very scared with this. The word leukemia in itself is frightening. I mean,
Mhm.
I've said this before. It's like, all those stories on TV, the movies, the movie of the week. What is it? It's always leukemia. It wasn't Love Story leukemia. She died. It's just a very scary feeling. And when I walked into the office, he had this very stern face. He was sitting there when I was brought into the examining room. Usually that doesn't happen. It's usually the other way around. You're in there and then they come in. He was there with his PA, physician assistant, and he had this long face. And I'm like, I'm doomed. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
it was like, turns out he was, I think he needed to improve upon, and in 14 years, he has his bedside manner a little bit. But long story short, I stuck with it. I did at one point tell my oncologist that, yeah, I like him, but his bedside manner. And he's like, oh, you don't have to go to him if you want to. I was like, no, I'll stick with it. And now he laughs at my jokes. We have a good relationship, and it's all good. I mean, I guess there's a little message in there I've taught myself. I can be very quick to say, "Oh, I don't like that person," like, and I'm talking about medical. And that happened with my breast surgeon, my previous breast surgeon years ago, because you'd always be waiting. She had this crazy office, so, so much in demand. But I
Mhm.
learned the lesson and I got annoyed about the wait until the day came when I had something suspicious and I knew that it backed her up for all her
Mm.
other patients. She was making phone calls to Sinai, Mount Sinai for me. She was at NYU and she knew the dramatist person but
She was
taking
giving you the time you needed.
she was giving me the
Yeah.
time. So I've now learned, like, and again with this doctor,
Mm.
I was like so quick to say, he's not funny. Whatever, wrong word, not scratch funny.
Yeah,
He,
well, he's not giving you
yeah,
the words that
but
you want or yeah,
now
kindness.
you do have to give people the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And it's always interesting, right? Like I see, and I have some friends who are doctors, and they're always saying how pressured they are and how much they need to squeeze into their day and, the burnout that they feel. And so, as a patient, yeah, you're getting a diagnosis that is life threatening. You want all their attention and all their sympathy and all of that. But at the same time, what you're saying is they have their own reasons for being the way they are or saying the things. Of course, everyone can improve, but as
Right.
long as they're good at what they do, that's the primary, requirement that we have.
Right.
Okay, so you get this diagnosis from him. What do they tell you?
They need to do more blood work and
Mm.
also, uh, it I'm gonna say the wrong thing. It wasn't a spinal, there's another test they do in your spine to see if it's in well, I guess that's like some determination for what you have. Long story short, I was told it's CML officially, and I was put on medicine, and I tolerated it fine. I tolerated it
Okay.
very well for many years, and it was a very easy drug to take. It was a pill in the morning, a pill at night,
Okay.
and no restrictions
Hmm.
until after several years, I developed pleural effusion, which means your lungs fill up with liquid, and that's a known side effect. So I was tapped. That's the expression where they this much, and a huge thing of liquid comes out of
Wow.
yeah, from behind, I guess it's, obviously from your lungs, and then I
Right.
had to be switched to another medicine, which I'm still on. I take it twice a day. It's also a an oral chemotherapy. The only difference being that I have to wait in the morning an hour after I, take it before I can eat or drink, and at night I have to wait 2 hours after eating dinner,
Mm.
because there's some kind of, cardiac interaction that can happen if you don't wait.
Gotcha. Yeah. So this is not cured. It is something that you just have to manage and live with.
Right, and it does in some instances that it can be considered a chronic condition. I see my physician, my hematologist every 3 months. He does blood work, and then he checks in, with other things every once in a while, like an
Right.
EKG.
Yeah.
But, as long as I'm not having any symptoms, like, for example, that was a symptom, when they listened to my lungs, it was like, I guess for them, a little bit of a wheeze, and I did feel sometimes some pressure,
Mm. And that's how they found the
Yeah,
The water
but
and
I
yeah.
think it was more from the physical exam.
Gotcha. So, I mean, all of these diagnoses have to be like draining you mentally. Where do you find the strength to cope with all of this and have the wonderful attitude that you have?
Thank you. A couple of things. I live in New York City and I take advantage of that. What does that mean? I go to theater, I go to museums, I go to special events. My friends are always teasing me, you're always out, you're always doing this, you're always meeting this person or running into celebrities. I get a lot of satisfaction out of, as I say, embracing my city and doing activities. Um,
Mm.
as a consultant now, I work from home remotely, and that can get a little tiring. So it's nice to have a reason to get out. I have a good sense of humor. My entire family does. My husband's British, so when I met him, he did make me laugh a lot, and my kids are funny and they're very good at imitating their dad, which is good. We're all good at imitating him with a British accent. And I don't know, I find joy in these things.
Yeah.
And that's how I sort of
Move forward. Yeah.
move forward because, what
Yeah.
choice do I have,
Do you
really?
think, like, I often wonder because sometimes people will say, like, the cancer made me live my life more intentionally. Do you feel like there is a part of that it's like you understand the what's it called, the finiteness of life even more when you're dealing with a diagnosis
Well,
like that, and it's like, okay, I better make the most of it.
it's an interesting question. I've heard that before. I struggle with that question. I would say not
Mm.
really.
No, okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
interesting,
I,
yeah.
I guess I just sort of live as if this is something else I have to deal with. I have
It
2
doesn't
sons,
define.
my husband, and I have my work, and I have cancer. And
Yeah.
yeah, you have to maintain it. Like I said, I see my hematologist every 3 months. I see the breast oncologist once a year. Um, yeah, so and I go for regular, obviously mammogram, sonogram, breast MRI.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do what you have to do because, it frustrates me how many people, and I know this is a movement with women, they're afraid to do the test because they're afraid to get the results.
Oh my gosh. Gosh, I
That's
hope
huge.
not.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah,
it's
it
huge.
is?
It's huge.
Really?
And
Oh my
I
god.
know in certain ethnic communities, that's prevalent, in the
Wow.
Jewish community, I understand, you know, what I don't know won't hurt me kind of thing,
In
but
which community? I missed what you said.
Hispanic, a lot.
Really?
Hispanic,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. So I'd rather not find out.
Right, and,
Wow.
it's also maybe it's a generational thing, we never used to say breast out loud. I don't even think you could say it on TV, and now, it's a common word, but, like, think of the alternative. Breast cancer, if caught early, is treatable.
Yes.
Once it
Yeah.
spreads, it's not. I mean, I do know people living well with metastatic,
Yeah.
but it's still a very challenging
Life.
scenario,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, and same with, lung cancer, colon cancer, so as an advocate, even though I focus on maybe breast and CML, let's face it, I'm in one advocacy group that's it's called
Mm.
pan cancer, I guess. The whole point being that a lot of these isms, or the recommendations apply to all these things. If you go for your regular colonoscopy and you have polyps, then they can zap them, it goes away. If it's ignored, then it doesn't. Unfortunately, things like ovarian are hard to detect. And then once detected, usually it's advanced. So
Mm.
that's a tough one. But I'm
Yeah.
also a big proponent for genetic testing. My breast oncologist sent me for BRCA1, BRCA2. I didn't have it. Sent me for something called BART, which is the next level up. Didn't have it. He was certain with my family history and my own history that there had to be some genetic mutations further down. And in the 25 years, more were research.
Mhm.
Long story
Mhm.
short, in 2018, I got the expanded panel, and I do possess 2 genetic markers, one which is particularly strong for breast cancer, and one for colon. And, so that meant upping my game, more surveillance, and I was told melanoma. I just happened to see the genetic counselor recently, and she said, I don't know where that came from, because I guess it's changed. Like, even in their world, things have changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
for
go for,
sure.
I mean, we should all go for skin checks, and
Yeah.
dark skinned people should go, yourself is more dark skinned, black people, everyone should go for skin checks, because no one is immune.
Yeah. And
And
it feels like more and more these days there isn't like, oh, you were doing certain things, that's why you got this, right? Like before it was like if you're a smoker, then you have more chance of getting lung cancer. I feel like those theories don't hold true anymore. Like someone who eats really well and takes really good care of themselves can also bring about this in their body, right? So there's environmental factors, there's toxins, there's so much going on. So the only kind of plan that we can have is to have regular checkups and do these
right,
genetic testing if available and if we qualify. Like I know I have pancreatic cancer in my family history and I have breast cancer on my husband's side, and so there are certain tests that I qualify for that I can do, and the more we know the better, right? The
right.
earlier we know the better. So
Knowledge is
yeah,
power.
knowledge is
Knowledge.
power for sure, for sure. So tell me now, what is the when you do this advocacy work, or you're trying to help others who feel overwhelmed by the circumstances that they can't control. How do we, release? Because there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of places where you feel out of control in this, right? How do we release that need for control and find our power in acceptance and action
Yeah.
instead?
Well, one thing I would say not to do is to consult with Dr. Google, because that can bring you down a really negative path. I think it's finding your people, the
Mm,
community that you can. And when I say community, it could be a friend, it could be one person or two people, but finding people who are good listeners and want to help and support you. And I mentioned this conference, Showing Up: Perspectives on Cancer, that I attended last year in New York City. This year it was in a beautiful retreat, the Friars retreat in Garrison, New York. And there were about 15, 20 of us over a day and a half, and all cancers again, not just, there was AML, CML, lung cancer, melanoma, and others that I'm forgetting. But, it's a community to share, to talk. There's a lot of community. There's a lot of compassion in the community because we've all been through it. And,
yeah.
you
That's
know,
special. And that's something I have to say I find very uniquely pleasing and amazing about this country. Because I wasn't born here. I came here 26, 27 years ago. And I love the idea that there is a community for almost everything. Like if I was a new mom, there was a new moms community, right? If I was going through like, kids who are, going to be grown and flown, there's like groups where I can join where, and I think it's so amazing. I mean, we didn't have that back in India or in Dubai where I grew up, but it's so incredible to have that at every stage of your life. And that kind
right.
of brings me to the question, was it community that gave you your strength in whatever shape or form it showed up for you? Or was it your upbringing? Was it this is just how you were born?
Yeah, initially I would say no, because I mean, not for nothing, with the breast cancer diagnosis, people mean well, but they also sometimes say the most inappropriate things, or they'll
Hmm.
ask. I would say no. I mean,
Okay.
but I think with
So
the CM,
initially it was your therapist that
yeah,
helped.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
basically, because it was so entwined with my
Yeah.
mom's loss, um, and people tried,
Yeah. I think
um,
people mean well. They just don't
right,
know how to,
right,
show their love and support. Right.
right,
And it makes me think, okay, so, not everybody is going to understand what you're going through. So you need to find a community of people who have been through what you're going through so they can
right.
help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of wonderful support groups. I know that, like, when my mom passed, I looked into Gilda's Club, which has been rebranded. It's a different name now. And,
Mm.
um, I don't know if it helped. I mean, it was going there in person in New York City. That's where they opened, the Gilda's Place, I think it was called. Um, it was kinda traumatic because it was very emotional, but there were other groups that, there's a lot of people there that can help you. That's my point. There's so many
Yeah.
cancer
Yeah.
organizations where you can get on the phone with essentially a stranger and
Yeah.
have someone on the other end listening.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you say to someone who feels stuck in that negative story of like, I woe is me, this is, happening to me? What is a simple first step for them to begin reframing their challenge?
Do the things that make you happy, whatever it is. If it means going for a walk, if it means going to the movies, like just try to find activities that you enjoy and relish in
Mm.
that. And all the doctor appointments are going to be there, the treatments are still going to be there, but try and find things, that make you happy. For me, I'm always looking for something that's gonna make me laugh. I mean, it may sound immature, but it's like, I wanna laugh. I wanna,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
find
no, that's amazing. I mean, that's one of our favorite things as a family to do is to go for comedy shows and things like that. Because, in our house, the currency is laughter and funny. And
right.
so it's something that we all enjoy together. And,
Right.
I love that because you can't stop living life because of this. And cancer may be a part of your life, but it's not your life, right? It's
Yeah,
not who you are. Don't get defined by it. It seems like that's your
right.
message overall, I would say.
Yeah, and I don't know
Yeah.
if it's scientific or not, but they do say a positive attitude helps your outcome overall.
Oh,
Being upbeat,
absolutely.
being positive, and we all have our bad days. I'm not saying I'm Pollyanna over here, but I do realize, and it's something I even share sometimes with my sister if she's having a bad day. Remember, there's always tomorrow, and tomorrow will be better.
Yeah.
Just because you have one lousy day for whatever it is, cancer or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. There's so many reasons, right? We could be having a bad day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is just one that, I think scares the heck out of people just listening to the word cancer.
Absolutely.
But I think that, maybe you're not telling people you're Pollyanna, but maybe you're telling them, find your inner Pollyanna and, let her live out every single day as best as she can. Right.
Right. And if
Yeah.
it's having an ice cream sundae, have an ice cream sundae. If
Yeah.
it's going for a pedicure when you don't need it, so be it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I talk about this is the Warrior Mindset podcast, right? And I think, you're calling it Pollyanna, I'm calling it channel your inner warrior. It's really the same thing, right? And I think the more we do it now, the neuroscience is even proving that the more we, shift ourselves into building positive neural pathways, we're kind of reducing the negative neural pathways. So,
Right.
there is some science to it, I think,
Yeah.
and there's more and more evidence coming forward. Um,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about, how can someone navigating like constant anxiety create that space for stillness needed to hear their intuition over the noise of fear? Because I
Mm.
feel like there's, like it seems like you're in touch with that inner voice that says, just go have fun, go laugh, go do this, go do that. And then I'm sure there's fear that you're navigating as well as you go through these treatments and diagnoses. It can't be all like, yeah,
No, no, there is. I mean, every time
yeah,
you go for a diagnostic test, you wonder what's going to come out of it, right?
yeah,
You have no way of knowing, but I don't know. It's finding time, I think, just to be on your own. Sometimes it's just being with yourself and,
yeah.
you know, slowing down, lie down, close your eyes, take a nap,
Rest,
yeah,
rest.
exactly.
Yeah, we don't rest enough, right?
No, we don't. We
Yeah, you
really don't.
go to Europe and people are having like 4-hour lunches, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what?
Yeah,
Don't you have somewhere to go? Or like the waiter's not bringing you the check because you're just sitting there and enjoying the moment.
right,
And, I know there's so many movies also that talk about how the American culture is the hustle culture, go, 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 go. And then you need a vacation from this life.
right.
So yeah, it's so important to have that time for stillness. Do you have a practice personally that you um, use?
I've been told I should meditate. I don't,
You
but
don't.
I probably should. I do like using at night. I have like I don't know what they're called, but you roll it
Essential
on.
oils? The
Yeah, like
essential oils? Yeah.
yeah, to help you sleep. And
Yeah.
I have a little. My friend brought this from London. Very cozy.
Oh, what is that?
He's a teddy bear from
Okay.
Liberty of London.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for those
I
that are watching on
definitely,
video can watch the clip of where she's showing that.
I sleep in the fetal position, which
Okay.
I don't know if you do, but there's something to be said about the fetal position, right? Where
Yeah, it's
well,
comforting. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
comforting.
And then you keep do activities that make you happy. I love
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and I like to shop, which is not
You
always
like
a
to
sport.
what?
Shop. It's not
Shop.
always
Oh, who doesn't
it
like to shop?
brings me a lot of
Retail
joy. I
therapy,
mean,
bring it on.
retail therapy. I'm convinced I spend sometimes more than I can afford, but hey, if it brings you joy,
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's not, driving you into the hole, you're okay.
And the other thing I would say is plan things to look forward to, whether it's
Mm.
travel, whether it's buying tickets to theater, which you won't be able to see for a month because that's when the tickets are available, whether it's your kids coming home, like my kids will be home for Thanksgiving. Like, I love having things to look forward to. So
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And I think that can be like a question we ask ourselves every day, right? What am I looking forward to?
right,
Right. And that's a beautiful way to just shift again that perspective. I call it the evil inner witch telling you everything's horrible, you're going to die, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. And then the inner warrior that says, no, let's look forward to something. There's something to look forward to. There's
right,
family, there's
exactly.
the theater, there's New York City. I mean, you're living in my dream city, and I hope to move there someday. So
Oh, you'll have to come visit. I'll show
oh
you
my
around.
God. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be there tomorrow, but we will connect definitely on that. All right. So listen, you have an incredible attitude. You're dealing with so much. It seems like it just never ends, but I love your attitude of just find the things that bring you joy and find time for stillness and sleep in a fetal position if you need to. Right? Whatever brings you joy. Live life more, live life every single day, no matter whether there is a cancer diagnosis or not. That's kind of seems like your overarching advice for people if they're dealing with something like that. For the warrior listening who feels isolated by their struggle, what is one like thought or command you can give them to help embrace the connection and act despite their fear? Kind of
Mm.
one overarching thing.
Well, it might be to reach out to a cancer support group
Mm, yeah.
and find somewhere you can share your feelings or spill your emotions. Um,
Talk to
nothing to be
someone.
yeah, nothing to be ashamed of in that instance,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And so many people try to hide these diagnoses, right? When they find out first. What do you think that's about?
Well, I did with the CML, not with well, breast cancer was commonplace. It came up often and I was going for treatment. It was hard to hide it when I was working. CML, I did hide. I was working full time. I hid it because I was afraid of discrimination.
Mm,
And, 'cause even back 14 years ago, I think we're evolving each day. I think all of these scenarios are becoming more commonplace and accepted. But even 14 years ago, like, I didn't wanna be inhibited on being promoted or, "Oh, she's got an illness, we can't give her these responsibilities," or whatever. And even looking for a new job, I was petrified. There's a funny thing when you're looking on applications, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but on an application at the end, they ask you, "Do you have any of these disabilities?" And
mm,
it includes depression, cancer, ADHD,
really?
and you can say yes or no. And I always scratch my head because for the longest time, I always said no. And then I started checking off yes because I'm like, oh, does that give me an upper hand? It's kind of a joke because and then I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't answer that. It's none of their business, and it's not
Yeah.
that I don't know why they do that, but, I
Mm,
think they're trying to check off well, that was the point. I'm saying to myself, "If you need to reach a quota for something,
yeah.
will it help me?" But I really don't think
Is it going to help or hurt? Yeah, you just don't know.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that. I mean, it's been a while since I was in the corporate world.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah, I can't even imagine, having to even check off those boxes. It's like there's so much.
right.
Yeah. So talk to somebody is the other piece of advice that you're saying. And I think that is so important. And I was just listening to, I don't know if you've followed Hoda Kotb, the
Yeah.
news anchor. So she had breast cancer, and she has a
Yeah.
story about how she was on a plane and she was wearing a compression sleeve, and somebody asked next to her was like, "Oh, what's this for?" And she goes, "Oh, it's a compression sleeve." "Well, why do you have it?" "Oh, I just had a procedure." "Oh, what was the procedure?" And she started to get annoyed, like, who is this guy asking me so many questions? And he kept pushing and kept pushing until finally she just blurted out. She was like, "I have breast cancer. Like, I just had surgery and I have to have this on. It helps me." And so he says to her, like, what did he say? He said, "Don't hog your story, because you have a voice on national television that you can use to help others, right?
True.
And your journey can help so many people." And so, like, she just recently shared a clip of that on Instagram, I think, and I saw it, and I was like, it's so true. Like, we feel like, oh my God, sometimes, like, I don't know. And you had valid reasons for not sharing it, but even if we open up to a small group of people, our little community that can help us and support us through this,
Oh
it can
yeah.
make life easier, right?
Well, yeah.
And
Look
the
at
bigger
Katie.
picture, sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry, Katie Couric. What she did for colon cancer was
Yes,
incredible.
yeah, yeah, and it's almost like you have a voice. Why would you not use it, right? Like
Right.
that. And it's a brave step, though. It's a journey to go from, I'm dealing with this myself to now I'm advocating for others. And it
Right.
looks like that's the work you're doing. So what about advocating for others lights you up?
When someone says, what you said resonated with me, or I really liked hearing your story and your outlook, it it's giving people hope where maybe they
Yeah,
don't have any, or maybe they're the first in their family to experience this. I hate using the word journey, but to experience this diagnosis, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So, if you can make an impact even on one person, I think that's
it's powerful.
monumental. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And you're normalizing the conversation, right?
Right.
At
Right.
at the least, you're changing someone's life at the most, and at the least you're normalizing that conversation about
Right.
all these different types of cancers. So I just want to thank you for sharing your journey, your whole experience with us, and how you have now used that to help others. Is there, how do you feel today in this day? Like, just having gone through all this, do you feel like it has made you stronger? Do you feel like, where are you right now in your mindset?
Yeah, I think it has made me stronger, in some ways, there's a lot of challenges we all face in life, and,
Sure.
uh, like I said, this is just another challenge that you have to face, but, better, you take the bull by the horn and address what needs to be done, and
Yeah.
keep up with your appointments, and never say, "Oh, I'm too busy." I mean, I'm of the belief that there should be a national holiday or commemoration for women to go get mammograms. That, like,
A
oh, that
National Mammogram Day.
yeah, kind of, and meaning that, let's say a day, but it's really a month. Meaning, employers say to their females, "Go get your mammogram, and you have the time off." I mean, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important, right? I'm definitely gonna, I just went to get all my physical and everything done, and they gave me my next mammogram, script. So I'm gonna go do that. But
Good.
thank you so much. You are truly a warrior.
Thank
And
you.
I love that you have this amazing attitude about everything. And cancer's just a part of that. So I wish you all the best, and I hope you
Thank you so
continue
much.
to, thrive and help as many people as you can. And I appreciate you sharing your journey with us. Thank you.
You.